Hi there, it's Elise Kopp, your realtor here in Las Vegas. Thank you so much for taking the time to join me here on my channel. If you're new, welcome, and if you've been here, welcome back. Either way, really happy to have you here. Now, for today's video, just wanted to have a conversation with you guys about a topic that comes up all the time when I'm helping clients from different parts of the country decide if Las Vegas is the place they want to call home, and more specifically, if a 55+ community is what they want to call home. And that conversation is going to be resale versus new 55+ communities. Both have their advantages and disadvantages. Today we're going to be talking about those advantages and disadvantages to see which is the better option. Now, if this is your first time here on my channel, I do want to take this time to introduce myself. My name is Elise Kopp. I am a realtor here in the greater Vegas area. Do specialize in our 55+ communities. We've got nearly 30 of them, but I'm not limited to just 55+ communities. We have all sorts of new build and resale options and traditional non-55+ communities. So if you like the idea of having the activities and amenities that you find in a 55+ but aren't quite sure about the 55+ living yet, just keep in mind we can explore all options to see what is going to make the most sense for you. Also, if you enjoyed today's video, would so appreciate it if you could leave a thumbs up on today's video and subscribe to my channel. It's free, it really helps me in making these videos for you guys, and your support means the world to me. Okay, so now that we got that covered, let's talk a little bit about 55+ communities, new construction versus resale. Obviously, if you're new to the Valley and you're comparing 55+ options, new construction, resale, it can become very overwhelming. So I just want to be here to highlight some of the benefits to living in an established community versus a new build community, so that you can see what is going to make the most sense for you and for your lifestyle. So let's talk a little bit about the advantages to living in a resale established 55+ community. Now, if you're considering a resale 55+ community and home, something to keep in mind is going to be the fact that because these communities are established, you're typically going to get much more mature landscaping, perhaps more of a lush feel. So if you are drawn to having more of a lush look, especially being here in the Las Vegas desert, definitely something to keep in mind, a big benefit to being in a resale 55+ community. Another benefit to being in a resale 55+ community is going to be the fact that because these developments were built potentially 5, 10, 15, 20+ years ago, these communities are typically in pockets that are master planned communities. So when we're talking shopping, restaurants, medical, grocery stores, ease of accessibility, you're going to find that in our established 55+ communities, just because the land around the communities is already built out. So definitely a huge benefit, and definitely something to keep in mind if you're comparing the two. The third benefit to living in a resale established 55+ community is going to be the fact that these communities are established. So whether it's a matter of joining some of the clubs and activities offered in the community, or finding a group of friends and having a social network, walking into an established community is typically going to make that transition a little bit easier, rather than a new build community that takes some time to grow and develop. Okay, so now that we covered some of the advantages to living in a resale 55+ community, let's talk a little bit about the advantages to living in a new build 55+ community. Now, the most obvious benefit to being in a new build 55+ community is going to be the fact that it's new. So whether you see those newer, more modern finishes reflected in the clubhouse and the amenities, or in your home, if you like the idea of having newer finishes, newer cosmetics, newer mechanicals, definitely something to keep in mind if you're exploring a new build community. The second big benefit to being in a new build 55+ community is going to be customization. Now, unless we're talking a spec home where the builder has pre-selected the finishes in your home, like the cabinets, countertops, flooring, so on and so forth, In a new build, a traditional new build home, you are typically going to have the customization that you may not get for a resale home. So when it comes to picking your flooring, cabinets, countertops, so on and so forth, you get a say as to how you'd like your home to look so that you're not stuck in the midst of a remodel or making those adjustments or renovations like you would for a resale home. So definitely something to consider. And the third benefit to being in a new build 55 plus community is going to be the fact that mechanicals are not only newer, but you are going to have all the warranties that are going to be offered through the builder. So whether it's your 1 year bumper to bumper that most builders offer or your 10-year structural, when it comes down to big ticket items like HVAC, roofing, any sort of plumbing repairs, electrical repairs, most of those items are going to be covered by the builder through your warranty. So definitely something to keep in mind, especially if you're weighing the costs to resale home versus a new build. Now, because we're talking financial considerations, there were just a few things I wanted to share with you. If you are comparing new construction to resale, definitely things to keep in mind for financial consideration. Now, the first thing to keep in mind is going to be the fact that although resale homes are typically going to be at a lower price point than a new build home, some resale homes may require work, whether it's in the form of cosmetics, upgrading, updating, or it's the mechanicals, repairs that are needed to get the mechanicals in tip-top shape for your move-in. Definitely something to keep in mind. So while a resale home might be typically lower in price, you may have some of those out-of-pocket costs that you may not see in a new build home. So definitely something to keep in mind. Now, another thing to keep in mind, although new homes might command a higher price point, you may potentially save some costs in the long run, whether it be the energy efficiency features of the home, having those lower utility bills, or in the maintenance costs that you may find with a resale home that you're typically not going to have with the new build home. So definitely something to consider if you're comparing the two. And one last thing to keep in mind, you guys, if you are comparing new construction to resale, and that is going to be all the additional costs that aren't necessarily tied to the price of the house. So whether that be HOA fee, property taxes, you will want to look at the big picture if you are comparing the two, especially if numbers are important to you. You'll definitely want to give that some thought in the financial consideration. Typically, in our resale 55 plus communities, you're going to find lower HOA fees along with lower property taxes. For new construction, you're typically going to have a higher HOA fee and a higher property tax bill. Now, is that always the case? Not necessarily. So if you'd like to learn a little bit more about HOA fees, property taxes in our different communities, please feel free to reach out to me. I'll leave my phone number here on the screen. I'd be happy to share more information with you about that. So now that we've covered some of the advantages and disadvantages to living in a resale 55 plus community versus a new 55 plus community, you're probably wondering, Elise, which one is better? And I can tell you, as someone who has lived in resale homes and new build homes, truthful answer, you guys, as corny and cheesy as it sounds, is it's really going to come down to you and your lifestyle. Both are great for their own reasons, but it's just going to come down to what sort of lifestyle you're looking to get out of your community and environment, and of course, financial consideration. So if you're considering potentially making a move to one of our 55 plus communities, as I shared with you, we have nearly 30 of them. Can be overwhelming when you look at the big picture, so I'd love to connect with you by phone, learn a little bit more about your story, see how we can narrow down the 55 plus communities to see what is going to be the best fit for you and for your lifestyle. It's really important in this process that you weigh the pros and cons to both, and I will be able to help you in that discovery process. So with all that being said, just want to thank you for taking the time to watch today's video. I hope you found it helpful. If you did, would really appreciate it. Again, if you could leave a thumbs up on today's video and subscribe to my channel. I really appreciate your support. Want to thank you for watching today's video, and I hope you have a great day. I will see you next time. Bye.